All right, today and for the next few days, we're talking to as many developers as we can to see who's going to be a good fit to just finish the development of our MVP for Relevate. Here's a few things we've learned just immediately after just a few meetings. The first is to be as clear as possible on the tasks that we want them to complete, and have the information ready. So, for example, I don't know if whoever's watching actually knows development, but your GitHub repository is where all the code is. So just taking that from wherever you built the code initially, whether that's Replit or somewhere else, and having it as a big file, because any good developer is going to ask you to see that code so that they can understand what needs to be done, how cluttered and buggy your code is, and estimate some type of timeline so that they can figure out cost as well. And timeline and cost are the two biggest things and variables that are going to be a factor in what developer you eventually move forward with. Now, those aren't the only things. You also want someone who actually knows what they're doing, someone who's going to communicate it well and understand your vision, but that also comes from us communicating not only the vision, but when I say vision, I'm not only talking about like long-term vision, but like right now, what needs to be done right now, and what foundations need to be laid for the future product. Other than that, Jack, you got anything to add?
Not particularly.
No? All right. Jack Savage Reed has nothing to add. So actually, he came up with the communicate well and be clear and concise on what you need them to do. Another good thing I realized is, first of all, the fact that we even have something to show them as like a baseline, because actually the first guy we talked to, he was asking us basically like the plan, so creating user stories, so basically the initial planning of what the development of the project is going to look like, and the amount of information you can convey to them will ultimately speed up the timeline for them to get started. So if everything is in your head right now, that's great, but you need to translate everything perfectly so that they know all the features, anything that needs to be done, what the future is going to look like so that they can build things correctly the first time around. Versus we have the actual platform, although it's like buggy and not 100% working, it works to an extent where they can actually understand what the road to the deployment is going to look like. And on top of that, like I said, we have the GitHub repository. And then other than that, it's kind of like just like a list of whether it's like bugs that need to be fixed or things that still need to be done. And that's really easy. We just went through the entire site a couple of days, was that yesterday? A couple days ago, I don't know. And just really listed every single thing. This button needs to do this. This needs to have this type of pop-up that does this functionality, or this feature needs to do this now and needs to do this later, but it needs to be built like this now so they can affect that later, whatever. That's kind of circular in saying that. We got a message from a dude.
Yes.
Other than that, it really is just a numbers game. And although you're looking for the best quality developer with the best communication and the shortest amount of time and cost, it's important to talk to as many people as possible, because if we would have just talked to the first developer we talked to, we would have thought in a completely different way than after talking to a few more developers. And I'm sure after our next, how many we got left today? 5, 4? 4 left today, and then like 7 tomorrow, and then like 10 more that need to be scheduled. We might like overkill, but it's always better to talk to more and get a fuller picture than to talk to one or two and not fully understand what you're getting yourself into. Because whether or not they're freelancing or doing this for a short time, they're going to be part of the team, whether it's short term or long term. And we want someone who's going to be a good fit. And what that looks like, you'll find out when we hire them. All right, that's all I got for you that day. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.